Foundation Course Kabbalah, Rabbi Michael-ben-Pesach, Portnaar. Part 1, Lesson 22. It is written, he who gives will be given, and he who doesn't give, it will be taken away from him, even things he wasn't meant to give. This is quite different than he who has at him will be given, and he who doesn't have, it shall be taken away. The latter weren't the words of the prophet. It is written in this manner because in those days they couldn't understand that when someone gives, he would receive more. This was an unlogical for them. Therefore they changed this sentence and said, he who has will be given. There is a story about a great king. The king had the intention to travel, and before he went, he called all his knights and gave every knight a coin. When the king returned, he called his knights, and they told him that what they had done with the coin. There was a knight who said he had made 15 coins of it, and another knight said he had made 10 coins of it. But there was also a knight who told the king he had hidden the coin into the ground. From the last was taken away, and they who had made more of they received more. Of course, in this little story is a very wise lesson. It comes from the verse, he who gives him will be given. This is hard to understand. There is no logic. When you give, you have less, is our thought. How is this possible? I show you the why and how. When I give, then things will be given at me. He who gives at him will be given. Therefore, it is very wise to give. I told you the true knowledge is to have the right intention in what you do. It is all about the intention, Kabbalah, in Hebrew. When you give something without the right intention, you can't name it to give. I told you the true knowledge is to have the right intention in what you do. It is all about the intention, Kavanah, in Hebrew. When you give something without the right intention, you can't name it to give. Suppose I give something to you, but in return I expect something back. This is what I mean with not having the right intention. This is what you have to learn step by step. Let me give you an example. Your child is playing with another child, and you say to your child, let him play with your toy. Your child obeys you and gives his toy at him, but this is not what I mean with to give. It's a learning process for the child, and you too have to learn to give in the right way. We want to gain time, therefore we have the deep desire to do well. We try and try with the right intention, kavanah. What is the right kavanah? You do something and in return you don't want to receive a thing. When you do so, you receive more than you had given. At you will be given more than you had given. When there is no expectation, the gates of light will go open for you. The gates of mercy, and everything what is there is for you. But this won't happen when you expect something in return. This is a great principle, therefore always be aware of this. It is more important than to know the Sfirot. That comes later, but for now this principle is more important. Continuous. Be aware of what you do. Are you doing it with the wish to receive something in return? Be aware of this. Why are you doing it? Maybe you have the wish to receive the light in return for what you are doing. This isn't good either. When you have the wish to receive light, no, it still belongs to the receiving of something in return. Do the things you have to do because the Creator is great, because the goal of creation is so marvelous. Do it because you see the light is the quality of to give, and don't have the wish for whatever receiving. Do it because you want to be as He. Let this be your only reason. You want to bring yourself in conformity with the light. When I was reading Ari, I came across, I'm attached to Ari, and when I read Ari, I experience the spiritual, and I didn't find no one in the whole Kabbalah who gave me this experience. Of course, there have been greater Kabbalists than Ari, but none of them were so divine as Ari. Ari is so pure, and while I was reading Ari, I saw something extraordinary. As I have mentioned before, you can see everywhere the name Avaya. the four-letter name of the Creator. It is the skeleton of everything what exists. Later we will study this. You can find everything back in this name, Avaya. Sometimes they pronounce this name as Jehovah or Yahweh. These are very special names. I use them for our study, but these names, please don't use them in vain. There are 4 letters, and these 4 letters are qualities. The first 2 letters, Yud and Hey, have the quality of to give, and the third and fourth letter, Vav and Hey, quality of to receive. Of course, in essence, there's no matter of receiving or giving because everything is one. But to make it more comprehensible for us, I use these terms. Yud and Hey represent Chokhmah and Bina. All religions are talking about someone as the Father. This is the Father in heaven to whom oneself is aiming. He is the letter Yud, Chokhmah. He is the male strength. He is the spreading of the light. And the first Hey is Bina. She is the female strength, and her quality is to make borders, to limit the light. And this strength is necessary too. But when I talk about Yud, no, there is no border, only wholeness. Yud and Hey, Chokhmah and Bina, are the higher strengths within us. They give to each other continuously. Later you will come to the experience of this. Then there are the receivers, Vav, and the second Hey. Vav is Ze'ah, and the second Hey is Malchut. Chokhmah and Bina are the parents. Bina is the mother, and Ze'ah is her son. This too you can find in all kinds of religions because it comes from the Kabbalah. Every religion talks about the mother and the father. Why? To give us an example of the qualities of the father. The quality of the father is to give. He always gives. He gives at his wife, the mother. Here you see the same partnership as in our material world. As you already know, we're talking about our world, but a Kabbalist uses words of our world, such as father and mother. Chokhmah and Bina are as the father and mother, and Ze'ah and Malchut are as the children. Remember, it is all about their strengths. Don't make the mistake to make some imagines. Ze'ah is the male and Malchut the female. Ze'ah is the letter Vav, and Malchut is the second Hey. On the one hand, they are still as children, Ze'ah, the letter Vav, the male aspect, and Malchut, the second letter Hey, the female aspect. They only have 6 sefirot, meaning they are in the condition of katnut, a small condition. And katnut means there is shortness. They are still as children. But when they are growing up, they have 10 sefirot. And what we're going to see is the growing up of these children. Everything is spiritual. I only make use of the comparisons with our material world. As in our material world, one has to be an adult to father children. The same is for the spiritual. In the spiritual, there is also the necessity to be grown up to father children. Only because of this, I make use of comparisons in this world, but I'm talking about the spiritual. Everything begins with a little kiss, the arousing of the male and the female. Malchut is the bride who makes herself beautiful for her husband, Ze'ah. This means all kinds of actions, spiritual actions, whereby they become adults. And when they're grown up, they can make zivug, and they can come together and merge with each other. Everything is about the spiritual world, although we make use of words of our world. There's a saying from the Kabbalists, "From your flesh you will see the divine." They saw the connection between the being here in the material with the spiritual. They saw how man was made with all his organs, etc., and they made the comparisons with the spiritual. The 4 letters, Avaya, Yud, and the first letter, Hey, are the givers, and the Vav and the second letter and the second Hey are the receivers. This is where it is all about, to give and to receive. No, everything is good. To receive is good, and to give is good. What matters is your intention. How do you receive and how do you give? In a way, giving can become receiving. But when you give and you expect something in return, in essence, it is to be seen as receiving. What matters is your intention. It is important to be very serious with this. There is no place for comedy. From within, there has to be the true intention. Intention, kavanah, means everything in Kabbalah. The more pure your intention, the faster you will go forward. With the right intention, kavanah, you purify yourself. What is the right intention, kavanah? That you receive nothing in return for what you do. From the moment you start seriously with the Kabbalah, this has to be in your heart. Give without any expectation to receive something in return. Of course, this is hard. It seems impossible, but you have to do it. Considering the first two letters, the Yud and the first Hey, the Vav and the second Hey, and our receivers, considering these first two letters, all the light comes from Yud and gives to Binah. Chochmah gives to Binah. And Binah gives to her children. Ze'ah and Malchut. Vav and Hey. In a way, Malchut is the crown of everything. She is the crown of the whole creation. She is the true creation. The others are strengths, necessarily because they are here to help the Malchut. But Malchut is the creation. This we can see in our world too, man and woman. He gives to her. Considering the wife, the bride, he is the giver. And she is the essence of the creation. Therefore, a man has to give at his wife in a grown-up manner, not as a child and abuses her. Men have to become grown-up persons too. What does this mean to give? Michael gives an example and asks one of the students to come forward. Suppose I am the giver. Then I have to know, why do I give? Always. You have to know it within your body, in all your organs. Whatever the reason when you give, you have within you the Avaya. To let it be worthwhile, the things you give, no, it has to do with these four letters, Avaya. I have read this in one of the books of Ari. When I give, I am the Yud and Hey, the father and the mother. Yud and the first Hey are the higher strengths from what I am supposing to give. And the receiver receives what I have in my hand. What is in my hand is Yud. Yud is Chochmah, light. What I want to give is the first letter, Yud. What I give doesn't matter. It is Yud, Chochmah, light. And Binah, what does the Binah do? She makes a limit. And you can see this by way of my hand. My hand is the letter Hey. We all need a tool to give, a box or whatever. You have to put the light in something. There is only light and Kli. Chochmah is Yud. And the present I want to give, and Binah, Hey, is the limitation, the hand. And what I give is female. And he who receives has to do two things. His upper arm is Vav. In this way you learn what I mean with the intention. His upper arm is Vav, and then there is the Hey. And so in this way you learn what I mean with the intention when the person receives what I'm giving. I put something in the hand of the other. What does this mean? Then there is the merging of the zivuk, the unity of the avaya. When our hands touches each other, we have unite the Creator by way of my giving and his receiving. The receiver has to receive with the right intention, kavanah too. When he receives, his hand makes a limit. It doesn't matter what the other person may think. He has to receive with his vav. And the hand, malchut, hey. She is the receiver, and by way of this we bring together the name of the Creator. And when you do this in a sincere way, you praise the creating strength. This way, every time when you do this, you will learn to give with the right intention, avaya. There's no more. Only this we have to consider. This is where it is all about. These four letters. Unite these four letters. They are the higher strengths, the giving strengths, and the receiving strengths, avaya. Yud is what you give. Yud is light, pleasure, and blessing. Whatever you give, it is Yud. The first Hey is Binah. and she makes the limit. Yud and Hey are always together. They're always in perfect harmony. The Vav and the second Hey, sometimes they're in harmony and sometimes not. What does this mean, perfect harmony? When they have the 10 Sefirot. When it is less, for example, only 7, they can't make children. He can't give because there is shortness. And when there is shortness, there is no zivug. You can't make children without zivug. Everything is spiritual. Sometimes the Vav and Hey are in agreement with each other, and sometimes they aren't. This is something you have to feel. When you give, you have something in your hand. What is in your hand is as light. And light is Yud. Binah is the palm of the hand wherein is the present, the light. And the other person has his upper arm, what is the Vav, and his hand is the Malchut. I'm the one who gives, and he receives, and both we unite the 4 letters of Havaya. This is the name of the Creator, and we unite his name. Both are important. There is the giving, and there is the receiving. He receives because I am the giver, and the receiver gives because he receives. I do him a favor, and when he receives a present. Be very conscious when you receive a present. Of course, in this world, people give you a present and expect something in return. It's your birthday and I give you a present, and when it is my birthday, I want you to give me a present in return. Of course, this is good too. It is part of the learning process, but your intentions have to be different from this moment. And of course, you will notice the egoistic part in this, but you have to know this is good too. You too, you have to receive in this way, in what is outside of you. See it as the Creator. It isn't up to you to judge how he has to give, or in an egoistic way, or in an altruistic way. This isn't given to you. Never. And really mean never judge other people. There are many examples to know if something is good or not. The strength of Havaya is a universal strength. His people had treated him, Moshe, very bad. Therefore, Moshe said to the Creator, I am placed in the midst of the nation, but they have a dirty mouth with dirty letters, meaning they gossip a lot. And because of this, Moshe was punished. Not a punishment as we know, but his soul had to return. He had to come back for it to set right of what he had said. He had to suffer while he thought he did well. Of course, the intention was good, but you have to know, the higher a person comes, the more responsible he is as well in the material world as in the spiritual world. You have to know the Creator is very particular with the tzaddikim, they who are with justice, with the people who are near him. In a way, the punishment for them is more severe. Not a punishment, but something in the way of correction. Moses, had said, and you gave me this nation. And another time he said the nation was a donkey. And the meaning of donkey is very stubborn. And Moshe received many corrections for these words. Even when you think in this way, know that thinking is as bad as the saying. Never think in a judgmental way about others. Never give a judgment about their intentions. This is very important. This is the stumbling block. There is no person, inclusive of myself, who didn't sin with this. Try, always try, not to judge about other people, nor from within, nor from the outside. When you do so, you will go forward very fast. Maybe you still have the feeling of judgment, but when you feel you want to judge someone, stop yourself from doing it. Say to yourself, I have learned that all judgment is wrong. I lack the strength, but I won't do it. Slowly you will receive the second nature. Your first nature won't break, and the second nature will become stronger and stronger. The first nature will never disappear, so that you may think you have become a saint. What does this mean, a saint? When you have the right intention, when you can do what is said above, you are a saint. Then you become a saint. When you see people acting as a saint, but you hear them gossip about other people, know there is nothing divine in them. It is the same for the thinking, although you never can know what others are thinking. Therefore, never speak or think evil. A religious person knows he may not speak evil about others, but this is also value for the thinking. This is the striving for the truth, not to speak evil and not to think evil. When you notice you want to speak or think evil, stop yourself right away. The moment you notice you want to think or speak evil, become aware of a signal. A signal has to be there. A signal so you can stop. Maybe you think, but this is not for me. I already have overcome this. No, you are playing comedy with yourself. This affects all of us. Be honest to yourself and never think how far other people may be. You will never know. Why? You can't experience his kalim. Therefore, never think about it. When a person, a killer, a thief, does do things and you think he's wrong, it is not up to you. Of course, he will receive punishment according to our laws, but never, never give your judgment. Be very careful with this because this is very crucial. Charity is also a thing to be very careful with. Why do we give charity? Do you like it? Do you feel good when you give money? Does the charity come from your heart, or are you fooling yourself? Think this way. Whatever is outside me, it is the Creator. What I see outside of me, I see the Creator. I see everywhere Havaya. I lack the understanding, but I believe this is the eternal name of the eternal creating strength. I want to unite this name, the Yud, and the first Hey with the Vav, and the last Hey. This I'm working with myself. This is an eternal work. This work will be seen from above. In a way, it will be written on your account from above. It is written in the Torah, he who gives, he will be given. In early days, they couldn't understand this, and even nowadays, there is little understanding about this. But now you know what is meant with to give. By uniting the holy name, you will come to the experience of oneness too. And this is what is meant with, and he will be given too. Every time you give in this way, it will be written on your account, on your eternal account, and all these little amounts will be there forever and will never be lost. There may arise a question in you. May I never think about the person who is giving me something? Of course, the outer person will think about the other person. As you know, there is the inner and the outer being. The outer being thinks about Harry, Jack, or whoever he is giving. But the outer being is the being with the five senses. But when you give something at Harry, have these four letters, Havaya, in your mind, so the thing you give and the why will be united. It isn't important how the other receives. If he does do it in a proper way or not, it is not your business. Suppose you want to give a beggar a few pounds and he asks for more, he wants 50. It isn't up to you to have a judgment. What he wants to do with the money, maybe he wants to buy some beverages or drugs, it isn't your business. Before you give, think about this, and when you're sure there will be no judgment, then give. Put the money in his hand in the way as I have said above. You give, your hand is Bina, and what's in your hand is light. And this arm is Vav, and the other, and the hand is the Malchut, the second Hey. Then you unite the act of giving and receiving within yourself, without any judgment about what the other will do. What this intention may be, or what his intention may be, because you will never know. No one can know this. Of course, you see people on television and they say they can read other people's minds. They are great artists. They let others believe that he can do this, but it isn't possible. Absolute nonsense. No person, no one can think or know what other people think. Why? This isn't given to us. When you meet people and they say otherwise, know it is a comedy, a great act. I saw on the television a man, a great medium, who could, in a theater where were gathered thousands of people, he could find blindfolded the person where they had hidden some money. Beautiful, marvelous. Why don't you teach us this? When you do this, a lot of people will come to Kabbalah. Then they think, when I do Kabbalah, I learn miracles, and then I can rope a bank or something. Then Kabbalah is worth to learn. No, my beloved ones, In Kabbalah, there is work to do. You have to work very hard. You have to learn how to give. This is the real giving, Avaya. To unite these four letters, and he who gives, he will be given. And he who doesn't give, it will be taken away from him. Even the things he hasn't meant to give. This is funny, isn't it? But it really this way. When a person keeps himself busy with the laws of our material world, he will make mistakes. He wants more and more. But when you learn Kabbalah, you learn how to give, and the light teaches you not to make mistakes. Ari explains this to us in a simple and easy way. Let me give you another example. For this I use the denominator and advisor just as we use in the corrections. Look for this at the drawing. When something becomes smaller, the result becomes bigger. When the divisor becomes smaller and we strive for the zero, then the whole image strives to eternity. We already have learned the formula of the 5 questions and the 5 eternal answers. Let me use this formula. 5 eternal answers and divided by 5 questions. The 5 questions are beneath. Always there is a condition where we can make use of these 5 questions. What, when, why, where, and who. And above there are the 5 eternal answers. Suppose there's a situation, it doesn't matter what or how. Of course, it is important, but I let the manner for what it is. Why? It is about the question I feel within me. The situation is only the trigger for the feeling within me. And the feeling, I can use the question. I have to use these questions. There's always, what is this? What disturbs me, or what makes me angry, or what makes me so happy? All these emotions can kill me. Even happiness can kill a person. People died because they had won a huge amount of money. Therefore, even with happiness or pleasure, make use of this formula. What, when, why, where, and who. When you look carefully, you'll see it is within you. You are the one who arouse the love in yourself. You are the one who arouse the emotions within yourself. There is no drama. There is only drama when you don't work in an adequate way with this formula. With these 5 eternal answers, you can bring yourself in conformity. What is a question? Question means it can be a severe situation and you don't know how to act, or you feel shortness. When there is no question, then there is no shortness. When I have a question, there is a shortness. I desire for an answer. An answer is the filling of the shortness. Try to look and see it this way. The questions are beneath, and these questions keep me in darkness. They can give me the feeling of darkness. I find myself in a particular situation and the 5 answers are above the line. Everything what is above the line is light. Under the line is shortness. Or in other words, above the line there is the giving, and under the line there is the receiving. To give and to receive. The filling lies within the eternal answers. When you try in every situation to bring the 5 questions in conformity with the eternal answer, what will happen? You let the shortness of the 5 questions disappear. How do you do that? You need strength to do this, so you can bring yourself in conformity with the reaction you have now. Not the reaction of the past, because when you look back and say in the past, you deny the questions. You have to fill them with the eternal answers, and this is only done by staying in the now. By doing this, you weaken the questions by bringing yourself in conformity with the eternal answers. In a way, you make a limit. There is the striving for the 0 point. The more you bring your questions in conformity with the eternal answers, when you use the strength you have within you, the questions will weaken, will disappear. The divisor changes. There is a striving for the 0 point. What does this mean? The more you come to this 0 point, the more it will be filled with the eternal answers. And due to this, you come to the experience of eternity. It is you who has to work with 5 questions and the 5 eternal answers. You need the strength to strive for the 0 point. And when you do so, you can experience eternity. 5 eternal answers and 5 questions. Eternity. The meaning of Kabbalah is to bring up the questions of what, where, why, who, when, above the line. Above the line, you have the eternal answers. Also from within you have to bring the questions to above to experience the 5 eternal answers. And because of that, you experience eternity. Within your being, beneath the line, beneath yourself, there are the most severe questions. All misery comes from this point, what hasn't been corrected yet. Religions, etc., it all belongs to above the line. What you see in a church or in a synagogue, it is nice, it feels good. People wearing their beautiful clothes, but when you take off the clothes, no religions had any access to this point. Why? The time wasn't ready. You have to come to the point beneath your navel. The questions lying beneath this point. Here, all the problems, only Kabbalah gives you strength. It gives you the mechanism to work with it. Work with it in the right way, not with your head, because if you do so, there is a chance it becomes magic, idolization, etc. And magic nor idolization has helped the human beings. Religions told us to stay away from this point. Don't touch it, they said, and this was good too. But now time has come to work with this point too. And by working with it, you will fulfill the meaning of creation. Why? The Creator created as well the good and the bad. Both are created by the Creator. He created both. Everything has 2 sides. See it as the 2 sides of a coin. When you look in this classroom, men are sitting on one side and women are sitting on the other side. It is not about what is good or bad. Even when you hear someone saying the male strength is good, no, the other side is necessarily too. Both are necessary. Can you see this? Each one of us has within these 2 parts. Churches, synagogues, they used to say, stay away from this area. They said the devil is there. Of course, you have to be careful, but what does this mean, devil? Devil means your egoism. Devil is the wish to receive only for yourself. Slowly you're going to bring yourself in conformity with the eternal answers. Whatever the question may be, bring it above. Never stay beneath. Always pull up the questions, your wishes, because above the navel is the part where you can do your corrections. Don't do it below the navel, because the strengths are very heavy there. I make use of the comparison below and above. Above we have the good part, and below there is the evil part. Above we have the light, and below we have misery and the heavy strengths. Of course, this is not literally. What I mean, I'm talking about strengths. And there are lower strengths and higher strengths. And in our observance, we see above and beneath. But when you look from above, the same way as the Creator does, you should see everything in a whole. Why? What is within is whole, and the human being is surrounded with the physical body. But I am only talking about what is within. I never speak about the physical. The physical is needed just as the package for an astronaut. And when you look inside, you see from above to below the letters Yud, Hey, and below there is no evil. The point is, we aren't corrected yet, and this gives us the feeling of misery. During this time, an enormous correction takes place. I really mean enormous. What was unthinkable for our parents, it comes to the surface nowadays. All the violation breaks through. Rape, for instance. During the medieval, there was no attention for this, but nowadays, a woman can go to the police. Not only in our country, all over the world. What has been hidden comes to the surface. Don't say it is wrong. It only comes to the surface. This is the most important thing. It comes to the surface. It has to be brought from below to above, from the darkness to the light. Can you see this? Seen from above, everything is light. Beneath the line, we have the Vav and the second Hey. This is where the correction begins. This is the contraction. From above, contraction doesn't exist. There are only contractions from our side. Whatever exists, it has the Yud, Hey, above the contraction. And beneath the line, we have the Vav and the second Hey. And the line is the Parsa. This is the image seen from the creation. The Creator sees it otherwise. For Him, there is no contraction. For Him, everything is one, whole, complete, Avaya. And of course, it is the same here. Only we have the Parsa, the line that divides. Why is there a line? We have to bring up the strength to come above the Parsa. See, the Parsa as a limit, a border. It is written in Genesis. The Creator has said, chased Adam and Eva, the Creator chased Adam and Eva, away from the Garden of Eden. And in front of the Garden of Eden, he had put an angel with a flame and a two-sided sword. That's the Parsah. Above the Parsah, we have the paradise, and beneath the Parsah, there is hell. Hell is in our awareness, or what we name our world. He chased us away from paradise. What does this mean? This means the experience of our world, or the experience of the five senses. There is no Parsah from above, and when Adam was born, there was no Parsah either. Adam didn't have the feeling of a Parsah, but he had done something so the Parsah can exist, or came into existence. In a way, we have the Parsah, the paradise, and here is God. What was the experience of God? They spoke with God when they were in the paradise. There was no Parsah. What does this mean? God. God is Avaya. Where was the experience of God? The experience of God means the experience of Avaya without the Parsah. Why can't we experience God? Due to the sin of Adam and due to the sins of the generations after Adam, the Parsah came in existence. What had they done? What were the awful sins they had done? First, there was the sin of Adam and Eva, then the generation of Mabul, the generation of the flood, and later, I will explain it to you when the time is right, all the misery came from one generation upon the other generation. In a way, this was a huge chain reaction. First generation, the flood, then the generation of the Tower of Babylon, and the last generation was a generation of the Egyptian exile. 3 enormous sins. But later, I will speak more about this. Everything has to be corrected. What did happen during that period, we have to correct this. Religions tell us it was in the plan of the Creator, but it wasn't. Even modern Kabbalists say it was in the plan of the Creator, that it was necessarily for us to come to development. But I can't find this in the books I have read. And when I can't find it in the books, I don't tell you. For me, what I tell you has to be based on the absolute sources. And for me, the sources are the Zohar and Ari. And I can't find it there. Others may pretend that they have a system. I only tell you what I have read in Ari, and Ari is telling us there is no dividing line between the Yud, He, and the Vav He. When there's no dividing line, when there's no dividing, then there's unity, oneness, just as I have given an example of the two hands. This was also the case with Adam and Eva. Adam and Chava didn't feel a separation, therefore they didn't have the need for clothing. They were naked. There wasn't the necessity for clothing. They were in need of clothing when they experienced the separation. And we too experience this separation, although we don't speak about it. But when you come to Kabbalah, you become conscious about it. Others stay in their consciousness or unconsciousness, and this is good too. Still, they are naive or play a comedy, so what? It isn't up to you to have any judgment. For them, no dividing exists. There are people who speak freely, are straight, meaning they don't have the feeling of the dividing line. One can still be naive. He can still play comedy in the same way a politician does. Can you ever know what or how a politician is? He doesn't know it by himself. A politician is a clever person. He reacts on special situations. He takes his chances and he looks and acts. He doesn't do it for himself. He looks carefully how relations can be used because he loves power. Therefore, he wants to have control. But you have to know this. Great politicians, they don't know who they are because they are as puppets on the string, puppets in the hand of the higher. He makes use of the higher strings. That's why he looks so sturdy. The meaning of our corrections is to come to the right awareness, meaning there is no dividing between Avaya. Because only in our awareness there is separation. From the moment Adam sinned, The separation was in our awareness. I said from the moment Adam sinned and not Chava. In the Torah you will see it is written sometimes Adam was the cause of the sin and sometimes Chava was the cause of the sin. We will learn this, but both are the cause of the sin. In some respect it was she, and in some respect it was he. Don't blame only women for this. The dividing line exists only in our awareness. Yud and He always are in wholeness, in love. And Vav and He in a way copy them, so they too can come to wholeness. And at the end, what will be there at the end? The name Avaya. What will happen when they have 10 Sfirot? When they are perfect? Of course, they are already whole in our awareness. We see shortness. Is there something wrong between the Vav and the He? And what will happen when the Zivug occurs? Why do we need these 4 letters of Avaya if the Vav and He disappear within the Yud and the first He? When there is wholeness, only Yud and He are left. Of course, everything will have these 4 Avaya, but the true existence is the Yud and the first He. Wholeness without shortness. Shortness is only below the line in the Vav and in the He. Here in the Vav and He there is shortness in our awareness, but seen from above there is no shortness. What we see is this. Yud is 10 and He is 10. Look carefully at this He. The He is divided in Dalet and Vav. Dalet is 4 and Vav is 6, together 10. But the Vav have only the 6 Sefirot. And the second He has 1 Sefirah. Only the experience has remained after the sin of Adam. What was the meaning of the Creator? For him, the Yud and He are 10, but man was so stubborn. It wasn't his intention man would suffer for many years. There would be a war, etc. Eventually, man comes to the light because he grows up due to all the experiences of fire and water. But this wasn't his intention. He gave Adam the chance to make the Vav and the He, Chava, only because of their sins and because of the sins of the next generations, the dividing line came into existence. Only because of this shortness came in existence. 1 Sfirah was left for Malchut, and 6 for the Ze'ah. We, the souls, are still beneath the dividing line, beneath the Vav. And the He, his prescriptions, the laws, not only with our hands and feet, meaning literally, but spiritually. You can go to church, to a synagogue, and do all kinds of things, but when you do forbidden things, as written in the Torah, can a church or a synagogue help you? Only misery helps you. Because of all the misery, you will learn. Now you're learning Kabbalah and Torah, and because of this, you learn what is forbidden and what isn't. And due to this, you can be a step ahead of misery. Not because of all the suffering and misery, because of love. At least we try to bring in the love, although it doesn't work all the time. A human being is a very stubborn being. But you're trying, and because of this you feel more and more the wholeness of the Yud and the first He. And the more you feel, the more you experience, the more you want to strive. More and more corrections rises up to the Malchut, and from the Malchut they rise up to the second He. Then the connection can be made with the Vav, and together they go to the Yud and the first He. And when they go together to the Yud and the first He, they take with them our request. And from the Yud and the first He it goes to Ein Sof. From the Ein Sof comes the light, the answer on your prayer, the filling of your shortness, the eternal answer of your question. And questions are prayers. What is a prayer? Your question is your prayer. You have a question for the higher. Prayer is question. Say to yourself, I don't understand. I have no understanding why there's so much misery. I don't understand why people hate each other so much. But whatever happens, it is about my reaction. It is within me. I lack the understanding, therefore please give me insight, give me strength. You have questions for your higher. It is within and for you, and the higher within you gives you the answer. Is there a difficulty? The only thing you have to remember is be honest and sincere. The true intention is needed, but what is true intention? What is true or not true? Can I ask for myself? Of course, you may have something for yourself. You work hard, you work to have a living, to have food, etc. You have to work to stay alive, but don't live because you have to work. Try to be sincere in your requests. Your prayer is your request. Your prayer is a question, and question means I want something. You want to have the answer because the answer gives you light, insight, and this is all you need. I think it is easier to replace the word prayer by the word question. The word prayer is misused so many times. No one does understand the real deeper meaning of the word prayer. The way people used the prayer was in a childish way. It was more of give me this and give me that. Give, give, give. And he knew he had to ask for other people too, because he had learned it, but the real prayer, try to ask the right questions from within, because you have the desire to become in conformity with the answers. Grow up. Don't ask a whining child, but in a sincere and grown-up way. Only the name of Ari is divine. He gave at him teaching of Kabbalah. He gave his instructions to the divine Ari. Only to this person. Was there need for more? No. There is no person, neither in Jewish world, saying there were two people who had received the instruction how to use the universe. Only Ari. When you know this, it necessarily to follow other people who of course tell us all kinds of beautiful stories, knowing these stories are coming from their earthly souls. But why do we have to follow Ari? Was there nobody else? Of course, there is the author of Zohar, but they are the same soul. The author of Zohar and Ari are the same soul. I talk a lot, and reason for this because there's a lot of shortness. We have so many varieties. Step by step you'll receive more information about the Sferot and other things. Then I can go deeper. Our beginnings is Ein Sof, eternity. Ein Sof is named eternity, and I already have told you. From Ein Sof was emanated a ray till the point of our world, but this ray didn't touch our world. World is a spiritual concept. Worlds are strengths, only strengths. We only speak about strengths within Kabbalah. Remember this, carry this in your heart. We only speak about strengths. A ray comes from above to below. You can compare this with a plumb line. Why does one use a plumb line? To see if something is straight, and this is a very good comparison with the ray of light. It is the same with the strength, the gravitation here on earth. There is a saying, as above, so beneath. Or so Father, so the Son. Exactly same, because there is nothing else, only the higher and the lower. Further you go in Kabbalah, the more you will experience. There is a Father above us, thinner, deeper, stronger, as a plumb line. The Creator of the light. He led down the light from above to below to our world. Of course, before the creation there was everywhere light, but after the creation the light was straight to below. Look carefully at the drawings. Here below it goes very slow. As we say, step by step. First you have to come through to a place named Machsom. The meaning of the word Machsom is barrier. There is a barrier between the experiences of our world and the spiritual world with the light. The difficulty of experience of the spiritual world lies in this barrier. You can compare this with the launching of a space vessel. One needs a lot of forces to launch a space vessel. This is a very good comparison with the spiritual. The transition from our material world to the spiritual world is a very important step. Each one of us takes that step separately, not as a collective. There is no mention in the books of Ari that it would be a collective thing, only personal. Each person has to pass this barrier in his personal actions, in his personal experiences. The crossing of the barrier is an individual process. Each person can walk the path to above, to the spiritual, but he has to cross the barrier in an individual way. From above, each one of us, every person, is seen as an individual, unique person. This is one of the reasons the group doesn't have to be bigger. No larger location because I like to have contact with each one of you. Not a contact as we have in the material world, but from within, to connect myself with you and help you from within. What I experience in Ari and what I receive from Ari, I like to pass it on to you, to each one of you. And at the same time, each one of you has to cross the barrier with the use of his strength. You have to cross the barrier by yourself, only then you can go higher. There were Kabbalists who were greater than Ari, who did know more. They had learned more, but Ari was the only person. From above, he was worth to pass on the instructions. Why? Ari writes about the author of the Zohar, Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, and Rajbi, was part of a very productive generation. In that generation, there were great wise men that knew a lot of Kabbalah. In a way, they knew more about the instruction, but it was only given to Ari to pass it on. Why? Let me try to explain this to you so you don't have to listen to whatever Rabbi is telling you. I show you in a simple and easy way in which way it works. As I have said before, the light comes down as a plumb line. In an unfailing way, the light comes down. The soul of Ari was the only soul ever. Qua structure, it came straight down as a plumb line, in an unfailing way from above to below, and from below to above. There were great Kabbalists, but their souls didn't have the level of the soul of Ari. It was given from above to the soul of Ari, that he was exactly in the middle. And when one is exactly in the middle, we name this the true reality. When there is even the slightest differ, either to the right or the left, it isn't any longer the true reality. Can you understand this? Ari was exactly in the middle. There is the right line, and then there is the left line, and there is the line in the middle. What exists has these corrections: right, left, middle. What is on the left side from the true reality is the domination of the intellect. The intellect represses the heart, so the intellect becomes stronger. What is on the right side from the true reality is the dominion of the feeling, intuition. The heart rules and the intellect is gone. The intellect is under the heart. And the line in the middle is absolute oneness, wholeness. Peace between the intellect and the heart. Both the feeling and the intellect are given to us from above with the intention that both are whole. One. Shalom. What does this mean? Don't fight with each other. Learn to grant so you can stay in balance. There are souls who are from the left side, and there are souls from the right side. This is given from above, or in other words, it is the nature of being. To be on the left side of the middle line means the intellect dominates the heart, dominates the feeling. Of course, the intellect has to be active, but you have to know what I mean with feeling. I don't mean the feeling of someone who thinks he feels or dreams, but about the structural feeling within the being. No fantasy, but the spiritual feeling. With the intellect, I mean the structural intellect, and not only the earthly intellect. When the intellect dominates, rules the feeling, I talk about the left line. About souls having their roots in the left line. Left of the true reality. When someone has more feeling, as we can see in religious, and especially nowadays in the Eastern religions, they are from the right side. In a way, the left side destroys the feeling. As you already know, I don't talk about Kabbalists or about religions. I only speak about one person. Everything is within one person. You have moments the intellect rules, and there are moments the feeling is more important. All the time you go from the left to the right, and when you notice you go too much to the left, you have to correct yourself. With correction, I mean you have to make from within an inner movement. Say to your intellect, I know you're right. You know exactly how I have to act, but still I look to the eternal answers. When you work with the eternal answers, you make already the movement to the right. It is the same when you are too far in the right. Then, too, you have to make a correction. When the feeling dominates, say to yourself, this is beautiful, splendid, but I have to limit myself. All the time, I go from the left to the right, and from the right to the left, and I cross the middle line till I can stay in the middle line. Step by step, bring yourself to the middle. The great Kabbalists were people, most of them were a little from the left. The intellect was ruling them. In a way, a person who is deep in the left abuses his feeling. Don't think this is wrong. This was needed too. Only Ari was in the middle, and when you learn from Ari, only Ari, you learn how to adjust the right and left line. How do you recognize someone who is a left line? That's a person who calculates all the time. Why? He's convinced the whole world has to be left from the Kabbalah, but not everyone belongs to the left side. I'm a little from the right side. And Ari said, every person who's from the left side needs a strength that will bring him a little bit more to the right side. Right from the middle line. Why? The right side means Hesed. The more you can surrender yourself, open yourself, the more Hesed can come in. Of course, you can learn from the left, from your intellect. What can you learn from the left? About groups, how to form groups. They're masters in this because all of them work in teams, in groups. But Ari, he's directly to the Creator. Yehuda Ashlag was a little from the left. Only a little, but still. That's the reason why Ashlag can be so dry. Ashlag is very beautiful too, but sometimes he's a little dry. Try to see it this way. Ari is in the middle and Yehuda Ashlag is a little bit more to the left, but only Ari was exactly in the middle, as a plumb line. Not to the right or to the left, but exactly in the middle. He who is more in the left, his intellect dominates. He experiences life as lonesome. He doesn't feel love. Me, for instance, I don't know this feeling. Everything depends from your soul, the structure of your soul. When your soul is more from the left, you need a lot of strength. You have to work hard to come to the middle. Not your intellect has to be the boss, but you. And he who is from the right has to come to the middle too. When someone says to you, follow me, you have to know whom you're going to follow. Only Ari was from the middle, and when you follow Ari, it will help you to come to the middle too. Good luck.